The tide at Arcturus. From the very moment Serena Whitmore stepped onto the $210 million yacht, the weight of judgment wrapped around her like a noose. She felt it before she even caught the first glance, the chill of stares, the cutting smiles. Her simple linen dress, loosely tied hair, and absence of diamonds made her look like a paper sail adrift in a sea of Versace waves. Did the catering staff get lost? A shrill voice mocked nearby, someone lazily handing her an empty champagne glass without looking. This is a christening for the elite, not a village flea market. Another laughed, clinking their glass against a diamond bracelet that cost more than most homes. What they didn't know, what they couldn't fathom, was that the man they had come to impress, the one who owned the island, the yacht, and commanded this entire glittering world, was her father. Arcturus Island rose from the cobalt-blue Ligurian Sea like a crown of emerald and stone, its cliffs kissed endlessly by turquoise waves. Its private marina, a marvel of architectural indulgence, was fortress-like in its exclusivity. At its heart floated the Elysian Monarch, a masterpiece of naval architecture, its titanium hull shimmering like molten silver under the sun, teak decks stretching nearly 300 feet. It was a symbol, a moving monument to Whitmore Maritime Holdings, the undisputed emperor of European waters. The man behind this empire, Jonathan Whitmore, was a legend, a titan whose handshake could move markets and whose silence could sink fortunes. His island was his sanctuary, his shrine to success. Only those summoned by an invitation inked in sapphire blue calligraphy ever set foot on its marble docks. Today, the dock teemed with nearly 300 VIPs, banking magnates clutching Hermes clutches, princesses with sapphires woven into their hair, Gulf royals leaving a trail of oud in the breeze, fashion house CEOs flashing Philippe watches heavy enough to anchor small yachts. The dress code, haute couture only. Tailored Zegna suits, Versace gowns with pearl trains, Cartier jewels so heavy they needed discreet security details. Even the sea air seemed perfumed with ambition and old money. There was no media, no paparazzi, no onlookers, only a hidden live stream monitored privately by trusted Cerclisa, silent witness to the gathering of gods. Among the viewers sat a retired oceanographer, her hands gnarled and weathered, clutching a worn seashell pendant. Her eyes, still fierce, followed one figure alone, the woman in linen, moving with the grace of the tide. Serena had stepped off a weathered auxiliary boat that smelled faintly of pine tar and salt. Her dress, stitched by an Amalfi craftswoman, floated around her like mist. Soft leather flats kissed the polished mahogany dock. No jewelry adorned her neck or wrists. Only a tie of sea hemp knotted loosely at her throat. At 29, Serena Whitmore was raw elegance, hazel eyes sharp as polished agate, skin bronzed by northern fjord winds. She was not bred for ballrooms. Her soul was carved by ice currents and roaring tides. A former marine biologist who had once led UN-funded deep-sea restoration missions, she had turned her back on her father's empire at 22, choosing research stations over penthouses, data sets over galas. Raised by her mother in a Cornish stone cottage, Serena learned early to chase tides, not titles. Wealth, to her, was measured in preserved coral reefs, not pearl necklaces. Her father's invitation had come simply, come home. No hint of the spectacle waiting. And now, she walked into it alone. No escort, no fanfare, only the shriek of Versace silk and Cartier diamonds recoiling from her simplicity. The glances began to slice her as she moved. Each step across the dock was another ripple of disdain. Vivian Marceau, banking heiress wrapped in a $65,000 Versace gown, leaned into her companion, her voice a dagger disguised as a whisper. Did someone forget to close the service gate? Laughter rippled. Phones lifted, screens flickered. Discreetly, cruelly, they captured her linen dress and leather shoes, the evidence of an imposter among aristocrats. Across a teak lounge, Tariq Al-Zerani, Gulf royal and serial yacht buyer, smirked from behind his gold-rimmed sunglasses. Looks like the deckhands brought their girlfriends to the party. More laughter, hushed but no less brutal. Serena kept walking, her fingers brushing the tie at her neck, her face unreadable. Vivian's voice sliced the air again. "Lost your way to the public beach bathrooms, sweetheart," she sneered, tossing a silk scarf toward Serena's feet. A ripple of snickers followed. Phones captured every step, every cruel whisper. Hashtags were already forming. Marina mistake, yacht fraud. At the starboard rail, a line of shipping CEOs in Zegna suits whispered behind crystal flutes. "She's a stain," one said, watching Serena like she was a rust stain spreading across the yacht's pristine deck. "Back to the kelp fields, darling," another added with a laugh. Even some of the marinas staff joined in. A steward in a two-starched uniform gestured at the dock's maintenance entrance and said low enough to wound, "You might be looking for the workers' quarters, miss." Every cruel word, every silent judgment battered Serena's composure like heavy surf against a lone rock. But she kept walking. Vivian Marceau wasn't done. As Serena approached a gleaming ice sculpture shaped like Poseidon's trident, Vivian thrust an empty champagne flute into her hand. "Hold this, would you?" she said, voice dripping disdain. "At least be useful." Phones snapped photos, capturing Serena's hand around the crystal glass. Serena smiled faintly, lifted the glass to a nearby server's tray, filled it herself, and took a slow sip. The hush that fell was razor-thin. But still, the laughter resumed, sharper now, knives drawn. The humiliation was orchestrated perfectly. They whispered that she was a dockhand's date, a scholarship reject, a fraud sneaking aboard with the catering crew. Through it all, Serena said nothing. Her hazel eyes stayed fixed on the horizon, until a soft chime sounded across the deck. The yacht's owner was about to be announced. The host, in a flawless Brioni suit, ascended a platform. His voice, practiced and sonorous, filled the air. "Please welcome the official representative of the Elysian Monarch's ownership, Dr. Serena Whitmore." Silence slammed down like a hurricane. Vivian's flute slipped from her fingers, shattering against the marble deck. Tarek Alzarani's smirk collapsed into slack-jawed horror. Sabine Laurier, luxury executive and queen bee of Paris couture, clutched at her sapphire necklace as if it might choke her. The live stream lit up instantly. Dr. Whitmore, Ocean Queen, elite downfall. Serena stepped forward, linen dress glowing golden in the sun. The ceremonial bottle of champagne in her hands shimmered like molten treasure. She moved to the bow, unhurried, regal in her simplicity, and smashed the bottle against the hull. "I name this ship Elysian Monarch." Her voice rang out, clear and unbending. No applause. Only a stunned, ragged silence. From the skies, the thrum of helicopter blades announced a new presence. Jonathan Whitmore himself descended onto the deck, his silver hair tousled by the sea wind, his eyes hard as obsidian. He took no microphone. He needed none. "I founded Whitmore Maritime with my own hands," he began, voice cutting through the stunned assembly. "I built this empire from nothing. I sent out invitations, hiding names, to see if you still knew the taste of decency." His gaze swept the crowd predators, now pretending innocence. "You failed." He turned to Serena, his eyes softening only slightly. "This woman," he said, voice rising with pride, "is the only person worthy of carrying forward my legacy." He raised a document of transfer of ownership. Effective immediately, Whitmore Maritime, Arcturus Island, and the Elysian Monarch belonged to Dr. Serena Whitmore. The gasps were earthquakes tearing through the marble. Vivian staggered backward, her tiara slipping. Tarek's Rolex suddenly felt as heavy as an anchor. Sabine Laurier turned a shade paler than her diamonds. Jonathan's voice dropped, low and lethal. "And as for those who mocked her," he said, raising a sleek tablet, "your contracts are terminated. Your partnership's void. Your name's erased from my holdings." The collapse was immediate. Deals unraveled like cheap silk. Empires stumbled. Banks reeled. Fashion houses declared bankruptcy warnings before sunset. The guests who had jeered scrambled to delete photos, to apologize, to grovel. But it was too late. Serena Whitmore, in her linen dress and leather flats, stood unmoving amid the wreckage of their arrogance. Her crown was invisible, but the sea itself seemed to bow. And as she stepped onto her small boat, her father by her side, the tide carried her forward, leaving the mighty of the world behind, drowning in the ruins of their own cruelty.